Yo, what's going on? This is AjEvolutio here with an astrological check-in, Headcount and Hades edition with our special guest, TonOfVision, zayquarter.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's popping? What's good?
Shit. Bro, right now, I say it's like hella like synchronicity time. Like you be
Hell
able to
yeah.
catch like what's going on like in the surroundings in like correlation to what you get on your mind, like in an instant. Like,
Shit, that make me want to immediately speak to the fact that that's whatever's on your mind. So whether it's flunked or on some real shit, that's that Sodom and Gomorrah aspect of um how are you upkeeping your Pisces to Gemini shit from here from the winter when you were in that cold of the winter, the absolute dead of the winter when you knew everything you needed. Are you gonna remember that when you're in this Gemini season? Or are you gonna find reasons to get lost in the light come Cancer and Leo and Virgo and whatnot? So that's some real shit. You see whatever the fuck you want to see. You know,
right.
whatever you believe.
And then I like that you said like even in the flunkness, it still happens. Cause like I kind of had like an experience earlier today of like when I was meditating. Like
Yeah,
I had a thought of like words and like it was on some like flunk shit for some reason uh like Drake had entered my mind and I don't like participate in like the whole like Drake and Kendrick beef and shit. Like I don't even listen to them like that. But like for some
yeah.
reason like, that name entered my mind and then my statement towards that one was like, all right, that's the last Piscean statement. And then as soon as I said those words in my mind, like the a timer I had on rang for like my little session. So it was like
Mm.
even within that flungness, like somehow, some way, like I was still in sync with like whatever that timer I set was like on and shit. So it's
Well,
like,
it's like this is a good time to learn tarot for that reason. It's like you decide what the fuck it means to you. It's just a fixed energy at its basis. You feel me? Like I said this in my video I went live in earlier today, where I was saying like the transit from the sextile between Pisces to Taurus is in your internal sense is your ability to acknowledge what you actually feel and just let it flow and not have be in a damned nation where you have a blockage of flow. You feel what I mean?
yeah,
There we go. And then that's basically what you have to do in that moment when you get put into a train of thought that you fucking summon or you moved and saw esoterically like geomantically speaking you saw where the fuck you were at and those were the markers that speak to your experience there. You know, whatever the feeling that you're choosing to walk through as a door in that moment, aka the feeling that you're choosing to embody in that moment, aka like thinking of Drake, for example. I could sit here and be jealous of all the things that he has or whatnot, but then I'd be missing the point of why to feel that emotion. If I went at it at a more intellectual angle of understanding what is my actual character value versus the character value in front of me, now I have actual tangible shit to observe and shit to be aware of because it's not like this internal delusion or a la la land. It's more about a putting us both on a balance beam, which would be the Libra part of it. You feel me? It would be putting us both on a balance beam. But basically, it makes you realize why you are in the emotional spaceship based on the ground that you're choosing to stand on. And that'll just speak to your mental rules and your mental firmaments and whatnot, and how you're treating those transits from the winter to the spring. Aquarius being fixed Earth to the spring of fixed Earth in Taurus. And that just comes down to what you think you deserve for real. We got a yod with or not a yod. Oh yeah, we do have a yod. It's the Scorpio Palace. I'm not Scorpio Palace. Fuck. There's a yod with the Gemini energies. I'm trying to think. What's Gemini's yod? Scorpio and um
Capricorn,
no. Yeah. You're right. You're right. What the fuck's in Capricorn right now?
Ceres.
Yeah. I was trying to remember why that came up in my reading earlier, but man, you can disregard the point I was gonna make. It was gonna be real surface level, basically just us realizing what is the actual duty when the moon passed that point. That's why it came up in my reading, is because the moon was just in Capricorn, so it passed that point. But when we had that yod with the moon to the Gemini energies, and it was touching Ceres, this was like you catching why the fuck you cared about what you went past in the Scorpio palace placement. Where you because Palace is Athena. Athena's like the mental altar that's going to be giving you the conversation or the perspective that is gonna get the job done based on what your Jupiter wants to pursue, what your Jupiter decides is the way to approach this experience, the way to experience, then Athena is enlisted to be the emotional state that is now the blazing intuition coming from the headspace of well, this is what I want to think yellow car. That don't look like yellow car enough for me. And the meanings and the details underneath Athena. So like when I say that, I'm kind of getting into an Aquarius energy of the meanings and details that you put into that title of the name Athena and the understanding of that altar. So with that going from Sag back into Scorpio, this is you catching the idea of the bigger picture of what the fuck you really want at the bottom of your heart or what the fuck you want to experience in this life. And then you put it back into Scorpio so you can now feel what it's like to not have that shit because of whatever the next route is. And depending on your own seeds and the way that you played this shit so far will determine if it looks like an uphill battle or a downhill battle. The thing you got to get affiliated with is not being attached to the outcome, but being attached to the conclusion rather. I know that sounds like the same shit, but what I'm trying to point to is don't get attached to say me and you are gambling. You know how to play craps. It's a game where you got to throw a specific number on the dice to win. If you throw a specific number, you lose. It's not for you to get you can bet on either number though. So it's not for you to get attached and think, oh, but usually I have to win this way to have the most glorious win, or I have to hit the lotto to feel like I made a whole bunch of bucks. Your actual story, your actual truth might look like, nah, I need to act in the proper character to walk into this building and this job and this corporation for 3 months, and then they're gonna give me the whole fucking keys to the place because I understand the entire need to be in this fucking square, the need to be in this grid, which I'm not advocating to go get a job. Fuck that. I'm just saying, like, that might be your cards, though. And you have to be a grown up enough to understand why you have specific contracts or commitments that would lead to that being your best state of being. And that's what I'm saying is don't get stuck on the physical outcome of what the fuck you think you need, what the fuck you think is the the reflection that's bringing out a specific virtue or character set in you. Instead, you got to go to that shit with the perspective of um um I'm gonna just do magic. Fuck yeah. I might not be in the perfect situation, so I'm gonna treat it like the perfect situation. And whatever ends up satiating that lens is what is that situation. But I'm not gonna try to fit something in there because that's how you do a regress. And that's how you miss a whole cycle. And that's fucked up, bro. That's brutal. It's really brutal. That's it. And at this age, if you're watching me and you're around like 16 to 18, you probably got a good time to catch some shifts. If you're 18 to 21, you still got a good time to catch some shifts, but you might really submerge into some fuckery. And if you do submerge into fuckery because you don't value yourself and you don't trust in your own dream and aspiration of what you really want to see in the world to represent you, if you don't do that, bro, you could fall into just a whole fucked up Saturnian cycle where you got to go through the whole quarter of the Saturn return. That second to last quarter of rotation is again absolutely obliterated until you get to like I'm not even gonna go too far on that. I'm
Yeah.
talking about cycles now and shit and breaking it down, but it's breaking it down as far as catching the cycle while you're in the loop and understanding which part of the quadrant you're in. That way you understand what alchemy to apply to the situation you're in and get yourself back onto a spot, not getting fucked up by Saturn or Pluto or Uranus or whatnot. Um, but yeah, my bad. I went on a run there, but shit had to get done.
Yeah. Sure, that went deep when you started talking about the cycles and shit of like Saturn
Yeah,
and like
no, really, that's what I'm saying is like you can use that alchemy. So like you would basically have your natal alignment to where Saturn is now. But there's going to be specific springs and summers, just like your sun has a spring and summer, and your moon has a spring and summer. So you would take that same logic and realize what alchemy you were missing and deficient in your certain gaps, where you were supposed to be a little bit more maybe mutable or a little bit more fixed, and you have to understand how to accept and cut the losses. Meaning, don't try to go fill the same specific character role that thing asked you of. Don't try to go back to the same or think it's not necessarily about not going back and trying. It's more about not feeling like you need to have your affinity with the thing that brought that lesson about to you. Instead, you need to apply, kind of honor the loss of such opportunity or such thing. That way, the next time an opportunity or a convention with that noun, person, place, or thing or verb action that you do, you're actually prepped for it and ready for it because you understood the depths that you were feeling in Pisces, where people were reaping if their psyop worked or not. So they were getting some type of, return of investment on what they were actually feeling. but like at the end of the day type of shit.
Yeah. I
You
feel like
know, and it's
all that you was just saying about like not having to see like an affinity to like whatever it is you missed out on and like that. That's very like now
yeah,
coded with the moon conjunct Pluto trying to the Gemini energies. Because I see it
yeah.
as like having like whatever you have like deep rooted in like your psyche and stuff, and still be able to like either compartmentalize that or like figure out how to organize that in a way but you can still move forward with the Gemini energies and still like go out and make connections with whatever it is that you want to do. So like all that
And
stuff you were saying is still like within this transit.
yeah, yeah, and especially with your you have a Virgo rising, right?
Right.
So that puts Gemini in your ninth house.
10th.
That's even more to what I'm speaking towards. But like, this is a time where you'll get excused to stop showing up to the places you previously showed up to. Because if you were walking your talk in those spaces and you're in a true position of realizing where you were misvalued at or where you were properly valued at, you can now assert yourself to be like, hey, but I'm about business here. And, you know, depending on how flunked you were, this is really to everybody, but especially you and I with Gemini touching our 10th houses in one way or another. Mine's like cuspy, but especially people with like those social placements in Gemini, that's where you're getting the ability or logical reasoning that other people are going to come to conclusions for themselves to be like, yeah, that dude do have different sets of values than I do. He probably should, you know, go invest with people like that, as well as other people might be willing to put aside whatever, you know, scorpionic shit that they're trying to make you connect to and just allow you to get some shit done based on the surface. Like, bro, we both make music, we both shoot videos. Just shoot my fucking video. I'm gonna shoot your video. We don't need to make this all about spirituality, but at the same time, don't expect me to get into your gossip then because there's a layer and a firmament that are attached to both of that those polarities. You know what I mean? To each layer. So it's just like we're able to handle business basically, and with that being in the first house, that kind of is applicable to everybody. It's just we really see it. The real receipts in the world is going to happen when Gemini shifts back 12, 11. So three more transits and it gets into the 10th house for real, for real. That's when everyone's going to see the receipt of what we're talking about. But we're living it, you and I. So that's why you're hearing it from our fucking live stream.
Because that's what you're saying about like having like your values in place, listen like the way you move and stuff like that. If you don't have
It,
that, it should get like
yeah.
real how do you say like hectic and like small talk was just like going everywhere, like all over the place. And like you just being like how do you say like basically not having a point to whatever it is you're saying, you just talking just want to talk. And like I already see
Yeah.
that happening like in my surroundings as well. And like seeing like how
It,
I could play into that or like, okay, maybe I'd chill out right now. I don't want to add to that
don't be fooled though,
conversation.
bro. It's not that they're not saying anything. They're telling you exactly what they value internally right now. Like ever since the moon touched Scorpio and we first started perking up our ears and whatnot, but especially with the moon being in Pluto, this is them telling you that if they could transform society, if they could control the conversation, because this is us wanting to talk and wanting to express our person, if they could control what is the state of mind that we're going to be living today through, then you're either they're speaking it. So you'll see it. You'll see the way that they think people should be interacting with each other and people should be speaking to each other based on the desires that they're thinking. Don't we all share these same values? Pluto in Aquarius, ain't this the shit that we all should be changing right now? Isn't this what we should all be mad at right now? Like those type of energies are out. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, and so we're gonna see the thresholds that these people sell out. Mooney Mercury actually went live today and said something very similar. He was talking about this is a perfect time for Christianity and all them to roll out some new psyops to get you to substitute your ability to be Jesus to trade it for theirs, aka you put your own self on the line and you burden your own cross, bear your own cross. They're gonna put up reasons to cater to people who haven't been doing what the fuck they should be doing, and they're not willing to be real about that they haven't been doing it. So they're not willing to have the conversations that could be challenged. So they defeat themselves first, so no one else can do it. And that's a perversion tactic. That's them trying to do shit like they're like that's like a micro version of putting your body in the cryogenic acid or whatever the fuck so you can be unthawed later or whatever the fuck that shit is. You know what I'm talking about? Like the Futurama shit, putting themselves in like liquid so they can be thawed out later. That's what they're doing is they're trying to put themselves in an emotional space instead of accepting the logic. And they're building a fake firmament, a fragile firmament around that. and they're living in that liquid, trying to preserve themselves for a future date that they can get out of hell. But they're still gonna have to do the same thing. It's just they're waiting for the world to catch up and be able to cure their diseases, so they don't have to do it. You feel me?
Yeah. So like
That's a
you give
real
them
shit.
a new Jupiter Gemini meaning and shit of like why to subscribe to the religion and shit. And like they're like the person that would subscribe to is like, oh, this is the newest thing. Yeah, it makes sense. Da, da, da. And then boom, that's whenever they get into that cryogenic, whatever he was talking about.
Yeah, it's basically they're residing in their ability to identify in the seven reasons that you get flunked out of this world, or whatever the fuck the Bible say, the sins and whatnot. But what that comes with is a sacrificing of power behind the person who's able to shape your character. And what it really would do is it gives you skin in the game. So now a person that has no bias towards that stuff, like a person running countries and whatnot, that person can allow propaganda to be pushed by either side of the fence, atheists, scientists, Catholics, Christians, Muslims, and they can pit sides against each other because you put skin in the game and a specific bias to where they can have different intellectual programs clash with each other and different truths, propped truths, um, which are usually is like re-rocked wisdom that is like supposed to be a undefined wisdom in their specific context that they place it starts clashing to where you start going to war for shit for them, where you start getting online and arguing which religion makes the best sense and all this other shit, which ultimately just keeps their cycle going of you going the person that has the complete lack of bias, so they're able to actually be trusted to run it. Kind of like think about it. They give us the example of cops. They won't even let a cop or a lawyer or a detective work a case if it's too close. So the way that structure in the world is working is how good are you to use Saturn against yourself and have a chastity belt sort of mind to where you don't fuck everything that you see and everything that's walking. You're able to put that on yourself and kind of rock. And this is not, I'm speaking allegorically, motherfuckers. This, that's how power gets exchanged is your proof of pattern to the spirits that are already in those positions and their ability to see that you recognize the pattern that you're playing out as far as a quantifiable breakdown of how a desire plays out over time especially when it's in an environment that's already built by people that you don't know, so you don't know how it was built, you don't know why that sign is right before that store and how that interacts with the channel of mind until you do. And once you do, you're supposed to act like you do, therefore you can be seen as you do. This is how you accumulate proper energy, you match the correct cycles. But yeah, if you have any type of bias, so they have hella fucking programs to intercept you. So even if you have like steam on you, or you have fucking good intentions or good ideas or good qualities, you're basically if you succumb to a specific desire of thinking that I only have those qualities so I could fulfill this specific role that I never even came up with myself, that's how it catches you. Otherwise, it's supposed to be something harmless. Think about when people ask you sensitive questions or questions that kind of trigger you, but they're doing it genuinely in those conversations. If you try to make it malicious, it reflects back to you maliciously because you're the one who took it there. But
You're
if
being
you
followed.
right, right. But if you take it genuinely and you learn from it because this is just a person that trumped you in this position and you just learn from it, then I don't even want to use that fucking word trumped like that. But you basically are able to absorb. Damn it, look, he just did it. That was a live representation of what the fuck I'm talking about. He is the energy of just shitting on a whole bunch of sharks. That's why you know what I mean. There's a witchcraft in that name. There's a witchcraft in the choice of that hereditary name. Me getting my energy of saying, man, I don't even want to use it as Trump. When in reality, that's just a character. There's a specific word or association to his character that he plays out that made me just say that. You feel me? So basically, what I'm saying is being able to take game away from a position and not just being a blind hater. You feel me? I might have strayed from the original point. I apologize.
No, you all good. But there was one part you said about the having a chastity belt, so you're not fucking
Yeah,
everything. Bro, that's that was that kind of concept on the mind would be hella useful with Jupiter and Gemini. Because like
real shit,
I had a revelation
bro,
a couple days
bro,
ago,
real shit.
like the concept of like
Experience the
Jupiter or
mind.
Zeus, like if you look at it as a thought concept within like their allegory of it, it's like the reason he could create so many kids is because whenever he reaches space with another woman with a feeling,
Right,
automatically his nature is to take things farther. So he could
right,
already, as soon as he connects with that feeling or woman, he's automatically thinking of where this could go, producing
right. And
a kid.
that's why Juno get pissed, and that's why she represents your ability to know what the fuck is true, know what the fuck is the best ability. And she's in Virgo right now, so there's a square between her and Zeus. So they're arguing right now. Yeah, dudes are probably in the doghouse. We might be down on the scoreboard right now, fellas. It might have been some flunked out shit, but we might have done like the tit for tat energy to where, it was really some shit we were supposed to respect ourselves and let go of the coochie and go work on our mission and whatnot. And then if you did do that, that's what you're reaping. So now you have like a space and a playground to frolic with whatever other half you choose or whatever community you choose. If you didn't do that, then you're probably in the doghouse right now, my boy. Just based off that square alone of Jupiter to Juno. There's a shit you knew you should have done, and then there's a reason why you're not qualified for what you should be doing. You know what I mean, or what you want to be doing. Some
Yeah,
real shit.
physically and metaphysically.
And I'm about to say, doghouse don't just mean a relationship either. That could be you being barred out of the space that you want to be able to express your character and make sex in. You get what I mean? Like make new shit happen in.
Yeah. And then if you're in that space, it's like it's really just like another emotion that you got that like would make you feel like you can't do that, really, from my perspective. I don't know if that's how you see that, but
You
like
said what? Say it again.
it's like it'll be another emotion you have like lingering around you that you carry that would like make you feel like you can't step into that.
Yeah, yeah. No, real shit. But there's like I think there's a sense of justice in it though, because the construction of Juno is what pushes out the other kids type of shit. Like you actually making sex with Juno and making it good on that goal and that achievement of what you know to be the best thing that's actually in your mind and the weight that you can bring down in a mutable earth fashion. Your ability to actually experience that is what creates like the other cycles of gods and shit and whatnot and gives you a pantheon. AKA they're the parents of the gods. I mean, I know there's like brothers and shit as far as Neptune and Pluto, but the the children of the zodiac and whatnot. I'd have to really look into that. Matter of fact, as far as their allegories, but the way that I'm internalizing what I'm relaying to you right now is that when you get to the point of checking off all the boxes that you can actually think of as far as the emotional things that are the emotional KPIs or the emotional IOAs, the things that you need to set as the way to measure what you're doing and see if it's successful or not. When you find things that actually cradle that, those become the major deposits that you wish to build in this world that can transform with all possibilities, can become a beautiful relationship, can become a beautiful job or a beautiful fulfillment to your community, rather. Um, you name it, all possibilities type of shit. But I think that's what that's supposed to represent is your ability to not settle with your dick in the dirt and do the other shit that it explains it in their format because it's a little flunk putting it through the lens of humans in this sense, but they're also explaining it in that format of Jupiter has other responsibilities as far as you have to experience other things. You can't always experience what you want to experience, but they're putting it with the coding of lust and whatnot and adultery, which it can also play out like that of you not doing shit that you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? But it doesn't have to be like that. You could do other, like you could be getting imposed in the society that makes you focus on things that have nothing to do with what you think actually matters. And so for X amount of years, you might be so deep in an illusion that your safety and well being has to do with you being able to fit within this box, like being a kid and living with parents type of shit. You feel me? So there's different layers to that allegory, but um, and because Jupiter also has kids of the mind too.
Yeah.
Remember? So
That,
he doesn't have to fuck. He doesn't have to try to offset some shit through his own character. He can birth a new emotion off of just deciding what to experience, and then that leads into a whole new conquest. You know what I mean? And that's where the storyline shifts. The storyline takes you as the observer. That's how you track the progression of a character through an event is what characters they're taking your awareness through by putting the camera or the focus of the story on that person. Once it gets shifted to Athena, now it's talking about the conquest of you actually going. And so all the stories with her, it's giving you a conquest of her, fulfilling that desire and all the things that you need to map out that magic square with the knowledge of the symbolism that's coded in it. It's really beautiful. At the end of the day, it's really beautiful. But you know how folks be. But that's why we're here. Hades head count. This is an Aquarius transit on purpose. AJ and I wanted to do some shit that was able to, or I proposed it and AJ agreed. Let's keep it straight for the record because it's Aquarius season. Let's not box up any emotions that ain't been actually presented. So I presented the idea that we conjunct on Aquarius moons and whatnot. AJ thought it was a great idea and named it Hades head count. And the whole purpose and reasoning behind that is so we provide actual tangible conversation and dialogue between two people that do astrology and are exchanging, perspective through that medium.
And be able to give like a reflection onto like the viewer and ourselves as well. That's what I use it for too, for myself as
Yeah,
well, to like
real shit.
just like analyze what the fuck I'm going through as well within my Moon Pluto experience and shit.
What's that thing next to? Oh, that's just Cerez. Oh, so
Yeah.
what's that thing next to it? Yeah, no, that's real shit. What's the thing in between Lilith and South Node?
Oh, that's the dwarf planet Maki Maki.
Who the fuck is that? Put me on.
It's like
Maki Maki.
yeah.
That's some fake shit.
It might be because they attribute it to being out in the Kuiper belt. So that's like
Oh no no.
really
When
like
I say when I say fake shit, I mean like, is it tracking a synthetic thought? Like, is it tracking a side of you that's engaged with the synthetic world type of shit?
um
Like Maki Maki sounds like the word mock. So that's like you copying some shit that's outside of your own nature.
I
You
wouldn't
know what I
necessarily
mean?
say so, at least from the way I see it, because it's spelled like make. I guess the pronunciation plays a role in it as
Yeah.
well.
I'm sorry. That's a stupid question. Basically, I'm asking you to give me more info on it.
Yeah, but no, you good. But they attribute it to being like a higher octave of Uranus, and it's like basically just like a creation type of planet because they had founded it in like during Easter times, so they named it after the Easter island god Maki Maki. So
And
it's
that
like
shit's in Libra right now.
yeah, is since it's like so far out in the Kuiper belt, they founded it. It was in Virgo, in like the middle of Virgo, so it's only moved however many degrees that is, like not even 30 since like 2005. So like it's still like not a lot of like groundwork done in terms of like astrologers like gaining information about it. But it's
Yeah.
like uh the way I see it is like it tells like Uranus where to go like innovate shit at. It like creates new lines of information and things like that. And really like with that type of energy, I attribute it to like Aries and Virgo type of energy that it carries.
Yeah. Like choosing which detail, Virgo opposite of Pisces, to justify you showing face, you showing up type of shit. Like, aka creation, the string of
Yeah.
events that you breathe life to. I feel you. Um, there's a square with Aries right now. Uh, is that Vesta in Cancer? Oh yeah, it's square in Vesta. I like to look at Vesta. I see it as like the side of you that you haven't done yet, and that's kind of always like a feel good post that we always move internally. And it might have just been a spot of revelation that you haven't dug deep enough yet. You rose from yet, like had a low enough flame, rise up high enough to build that type of bandwidth to encapsulate that feeling. But I think that's what that shit means to me. And for it to be in Cancer, I see it like all of us realizing there's still a threshold or still a space that we just haven't touched yet based on our own wanting, our own desires, and caring about what we actually care about.
Yeah. I like to say I like that you said that it's a space you haven't touched yet because I like to see it as like a washroom type of energy. Like once you go out and do like whatever you need to do, that's like the space that you would like to go back to like get cleaned up and just be able to feel like you're able to go out and do something again. So it's like
That's dope. I never actually heard that explanation before. We might be talking about astrological cousin feelings and um, like 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 there's the house of Anubis, there's the house of Ra, there's the house of these different and it would be described in the geology or like in the ritual of the witchcraft of it. It would be described that they have like a specific amount of kids. You know what I'm talking about, bro. But they'd have a specific amount of kids or a specific type of brother and sister layout. So I bet you I'm probably talking to a subsidiary feeling, aka another name or another small asteroid. We could call it a moon of that thing or whatever the fuck. But I bet you that's what the fuck I'm seeing. When I say what I say, I bet you mine's a little more nuanced because I like how you put that. I think that does um, capture the theme of that being in Cancer right now. I just see it as shit. I got a North Node in Cancer, so fuck. Maybe that's why it looks like that to me.
Yeah.
But it is the Virgin energy, so I'm sure there's I got my own truth to it, but it just might be a subsidiary layer.
Yeah. I like that you bring up like cousins and shit like that in terms of like
Yeah,
mapping this shit out. Cause like really all this shit is just like what people have seemed to be so far.
yeah,
Like all
yeah.
this shit
Built
is
is
like
gradients type of shit. Yeah, and put
yeah.
a magic square to it. Yeah, real shit.
So like astrology really isn't like an end all be all. It's like a after effect of like shit that
It's an
are
afterthought, bro. All science is an afterthought. Think about it. You do some shit, and then you're like, "How did that work? How did that happen?"
yeah.
Now you might have enough energy to slow down and use the inverse of Mercury. So you think about how the experience would play out in your mind. So you get into the Jupiter simulation cast where you have the mutable fire to the mutable water. If I did do that, how would I feel? You go from that square, you know what I mean, and your ability to understand the actual proof of the title and the way that those titles interact with each other. Capricorn and Aquarius energies determines how successful you are in your ability to do that. But that's all the shit is. You feel me? It's just a projection, and it's just a mapping. God damn it! I lost the point on that. My fault. I did that twice now.
No, you good. You was talking about
You, yeah.
that Sagittarius Pisces axis of like you seeing what would actually play out when you're in the mind.
Yeah, yeah, but there was a point to bringing that up. It was I was opposing that to Mercury as to Mercury's like communicating it. There was a point before that even, but fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. Oh, we were talking about like cousins and the magic squares and the mapping and whatnot, and I was saying that. Oh, you were saying that science like astrology is secondary, and that's what I was saying. It's literally an afterthought in practice. You feel me? The only time it's not an afterthought is when you're climbing the ladder of consciousness or the merkab or the Kabbalatry. I mean or the you know what I mean the you get out of the lower pillars and reach Jupiter and whatnot, and then you do that pattern and whatnot.
Like you're able to
Uh,
see a new ledge to stand on within it, or
type of shit
okay.
because you're referencing your previous experience that you're able to be sensitively connected to enough and have a sense of mercy or a sense of compassion towards the material that's at play and going to be put into motion through your own exertion to where it takes a Jupiterian approach to want to invert Mercury to be able to think about. I don't necessarily say invert Mercury, but it's more of like have a communication with the previous experiences you've already had instead of the thing that's happening, how Mercury communicates to the sun. That way you can think about how to approach this once it's time to put hands on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because really Mercury acts as like a bringing home kind of thing, and like sending out like like in terms of how you're saying that Mercury like inform like the Jupiterian energies, like the mercurial energies acts as like a bringing home type of like a foraging type of thing, like finding what berries would fit like within our needs, so to say.
Type of shit. And then if Mercury is like the person gathering information, Jupiter is going to be the person that's trying to tell you the best way to form that information to make the energy that you just exerted mean something and have some sort of emotional connection to yourself. And that's why I use words like your ability to connect to and have empathy towards the situation that you have in play in front of you. That way you can have the compassion towards yourself to slow the fuck down and consider how you want to approach a certain idea or topic and what beliefs you want to still have about yourself before you do that or about the thing that you're interacting with. What biases and beliefs do you want to still have present?
Right. Which is all the more prevalent with Jupiter being in Gemini.
Real shit. And just so you know, I'm on the shitter right now, so I'm about to mute myself.
Okay.
Oh shit, you heard that.
But bro, I'm kind of liking that Neptune sextile towards Pluto and the moon. 'Cause it kind of I see it as like a kind of like playing out as like a pool energy. Like even though like there may be for lack of better terms like friction going on with like a moon Pluto space, like that Neptune sextile will act as like kind of like an absolving effect to where it's like it makes that space less harsh on an individual, so to say.
Real shit. It's like a lock into your dream type of shit. We have reasons to be optimistic because we're seeing a whole bunch of shit stick to the wall that we would have never thought sticks to the wall type of shit. Like anything is possible is the fucking mantra. It's just do you act like that? Do you act in faith of that to manifest the proper echolocation antennas or satellites around you? Do you put enough events into your mind in your mind's orbit to allow yourself to accrue that information or that picture or image of yourself to feel like you are actually standing with your head in that trajectory? Which
Yeah.
that's why you really gotta use the remainder of Virgo Lilith. I know it says it's in Libra right there, but every other site still puts me in Virgo. So I'm just gonna treat it as both, looking at it as the Virgo energy, but looking at it as Libra's what's to come anyways. But that's why you really got to use that energy to understand what the fuck it is that you're actually seeing as an obligation or a identification of the scenario. So like, what do I think is actually at stake here? What do I think is actually being judged or determined here based on what is being done here? What is the contract or the responsibility carried out through the sixth house, the Virgo energy? And it's us seeing how that is influencing our ability to apply what we know works best and embody that truth, that status, that positional um, oversight of that activity, even if it looks lame, even if it looks like no one fucks with her, even if it looks like it's a waste of time or whatnot. You're talking to a fucking wall. This is more of a time for you to realize what matters, and versus if you think you're talking to a wall, that means that you're still harping on a fucking return of investment. Which, if you don't understand what the real return of investment is with some shit like astrology, for example, I'd argue that you don't understand why you're actually teaching. You have the wrong values. You're looking for attention versus all you need is someone to hear you. It doesn't matter if they like it or not. They just need to fucking hear you. And if you're telling the truth, then it is what it is. And that truth will echo until it's properly accepted and pushed out of them in their body the way that everything is. So it's all about what you admit at the end of the day. Everything else is just frivolous and extra, and you want to be a demon, which is okay. Sometimes you got to still, come down to this density and manifest shit. But that's where you want to make sure that the echoes and the reverberations of that manifestation matches what the fuck you want to be your energy in the future, or you're going to be accruing signals and energy from perspectives that you might not be prepped for because it wasn't really you because you're trying to fill a position, a responsibility, or a role that you see someone else be in the face of Aries, and they're actually in the operation Virgo. They're in the operation that you wish to be in. So you might get wrong because you're following the surface. You're not actually understanding what qualities you have to hone in on yourself. Jupiter just leaving Taurus. The shit you have to hone in on yourself and be able to communicate with in your surroundings to be able to embody that position one day type of shit. Eventually, start today, but in the physical density that you're looking for, allow it to happen when it happens on God timing. You are where you are, and you see your dream once you finally can believe it. And the lag time is based on the other beliefs that actually conflict your belief. So now you just got to pull the weeds type of shit and allow your garden to grow and do the maintenance work on that.
Hmm. And that shit was deep because it's like a placement kind of thing. Like like if you wasn't able to figure out what needed to be done in your life, so to say, then like whatever it is that, and we're talking about like being an astrologer, for example, like he wasn't able to see like what you need to do in your life, whatever it is that you was teaching to people, is just like some shit that you heard somebody else say, and it's like just like what you think would sound cool or like what you think would like sound profound or something like that. And like, cause sometimes like
Right, right. And then at that point, you're still my bad, but you're still doing the subsidiary version of what you should be doing. You're just now projecting what you want people to think you care about versus just telling them what you care about.
yeah,
So you're trying to like come to the park and you watch some funky cartoon show that no one else has access to because your parents got like the penny network cartoons and shit. So you're coming up with like the He-Man from that cartoon and you're expecting other people to just bow down because you got that. You feel me? Like you got that perspective, aka that's you trying to stand on a hollow point because look, I got a He-Man too. I said he's the strongest character in the universe too, type of shit. But it's like, okay, bro, but why? Oh no, laser vision, no, bro. I'm trumping that. I'm invisible and untouchable. You can't. You know what I mean? Like this is stupid.
yeah,
This is a stupid example. But my point is coming from your own fart cloud expectations because you're trying to live through something. So you're only able to use the weight of how important that thing even is in the first place, the thing that you're trying to be in the first place, versus being the actual character that can step into that role and bring a whole organization to life because they have the actual bounty and the reapings of the Virgo space, aka the role that you're fulfilling, the responsibility you want to uphold. And do you actually uphold it in a regular pattern and in a regular frequency? That way you feel one appropriate doing it so you don't have any imposter syndrome shit going on because you still jack off too much. Or two, you're able to actually get the fuck into the mission that you're into because you don't have any over the shoulder looking energy. You're able to drop your nuts and allow a person to tell you that you smell and be like, oh damn, you know what? I haven't had time to smell myself lately. I appreciate it. Thank you. Instead of getting butthurt that you're the one who left the house smelling like that. You feel me?
yeah.
And that's the Virgo shit. It's like you expect me to care about your feelings?
Cause it's like how you saying so to say like the reps have been done. So like can't nobody say otherwise about like what it is that you have got. And it's like
Because you were the first witness. Yeah, real shit.
mhm. And it's like it don't matter what anybody else say because like you know what is stable that you have done. So it's like anything that anybody else says, more of like a projection from their end of like whatever they see.
No, that's real shit. Sorry, I was washing my hands. I didn't
No,
want
you
that
good,
shit being
bro.
on the yeah. But
You
no,
said
this is Gemini season too. So this is also on ping pong energy between whatever the fuck is on your mind. You and your values, you're ping ponging and having conversation with. So you can really get to the money and get to the bag and get to the focus if you can have a sense of discipline of not being satisfied. Doesn't mean you got to be uncomfortable. Meaning you can know and have faith and have stability and understanding that you're on your path. But what I mean by not getting comfortable is not appeasing a former standard of yourself. Not saying, oh, I just had this problem with going to the gym. So I went to the gym today. I know I want to make a song right now, but I don't really have to make a song right now because I went to the gym today. And that's a pat on my back. Gemini energy is giving you a lot of playful energy and a lot of ability to flesh out a specific character for yourself before we get into Cancer season, which makes you act as that character. So what I'm trying to give you an importance is to not look at this as so much as work right now, but look at this as an opportunity that enjoy what you do. Therefore, you have it flesh out and scale out to a comfortability being who you want to be and not being at this position of waiting for receipts to come and you don't know how to generate them. You got to pay the price. That's how you get a receipt, cuz. Come on.
mhm.
Come on. This shit ain't all bad. This shit ain't all bad. Some of this shit makes sense, bro. Now, like religion and all of us like watching the Pope like it's the Super Bowl and us watching the Super Bowl, like that shit might be a little bit debatable, but not received. That's on part. That's on point and on par. I said on part. That might be a new thing. On part.
Harp.
On part. Like that part. On part. That's probably how these little sideways sayings get created, bro. Someone meant to say two things at once and like, fuck it.
Yo, that's what I meant. Type of shit. Low key though, like you seen the thing. This is kind of off topic as fuck, but you not really, but this is like people will break down somebody's lyrics and like a
Mm-hmm.
song. It would be like a Lil Yachty song or something, and like uh they'll do like hella breakdowns of like some like simple ass lyric, and then like other people in the comments talking about like he didn't even mean that, blah, 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 and saying all this shit. But like even within that though, like whatever like you could derive from something, shit, I might say that's what they meant too. Like
Type of
even
shit.
it
What
was
was
like a conscious
that's
thing.
low key. That's low key like a Jewish thing of like, oh, that's what you think it means, or a Jesuit thing. Like, oh,
Uh,
you think that's what it means? Okay, that's cool. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, that's what that means. So it's like a state of defense. It's not to say it's necessarily an evil thing either. It's just there's certain characteristics that if you allow yourself to get into a specific environment and allow shit to go further than that, shout out Dolo, you allow shit to go further than that it was supposed to, then you might catch yourself having to play out those characteristics because you now have blood in the game. You have an ounce of you that is now needing to influence this person to get them out of that fart cloud because you low key helped put them there. And so you have to shed your own ego and shed your own Jesus to get out of that disposition. So then you learn, okay, maybe I should have just been a sniper on the rooftop and saw this shit coming miles away and just took out the threat before it even got here. Oh, that's what you think? Okay. And then let them think you're stupid and you go elsewhere. Or no, I don't want to say too much. You get what I'm about to say. It's you could pimp a square. Could pimp a square, but I try not to pimp squares. A lot of this shit is implied. A lot of this shit is what we already do. So you don't necessarily have to go out of your way to do shit and be like, oh, I'm gonna go set out a meticulous magic square, whatever the fuck, of this thing that's not already naturally in front of you as a opportunity that would already be loaded for you through your own understanding of your reality, your own understanding of your um, environment, seeing what's in front of you now, being like, oh, okay, this is the new program. Oh, this is the new magic square that we're in. All y'all chose to identify as these things, right? Let me just boop, not be in a specific role unless, oh, this magic square got a lot of winners in it. This is like the dice with all sixes type of shit. Like, oh shit, we're hitting big regardless of what we roll. So in certain magic squares, it's like that. We have no problem fulfilling a role or a commitment to the community because there's a good return system, you know. But you know, magic squares. That's what this time really is good for, is to map out your own magic square as well as set your own. Introduce yourself as a new voice into people's minds as what you are good at and what you know and why you know it and how you're good at it and the receipts you have and the sense of relativity that you have to that location, esoterically speaking, that gives value to the listener's mind. And this is why I say don't get satisfied or don't get lazy based on pat on the back energy from what you previously did not do, because it's not about that fucking dead person, that dead weight. It's about just being in the character that you want to be and you want to communicate with and not putting yourself through stress for it. But when you can't be that character the way you want to be, actually sitting down and communicating and having fun with it and realizing why is that. And then you'll get from the square, you'll build a square in between the opposition of Saturn and Pisces and Virgo, Lilith and Juno. You'll build the square that's supposed to help ease that opposition through the ability of Gemini of sitting down and rationalizing and actually communicating with both sides of that spectrum, you know.
hell yeah, because that's like a planting seed type of energy in terms
Mm,
of like just like I get an image of like a farmer planting seeds, but like how they just throw that shit in the ground like that, like have
yeah,
like a whole handful. It's like that type of energy.
in the sense of like allowing yourself to take root in where it's at. I feel you. I feel you. The reason I hesitated in making that connection is I do see it as a little bit more purposeful, but I just have a bias towards that. What you said, I have a bias towards the meticulous fucking details and whatnot of throwing seeds versus I feel like it's more like the example I was saying is more like you planting seeds, for example, but as you plant seeds, you realize that the irrigation is fucked up because you don't have it properly arranged, right? So now you have to sit down and absorb a spot that you usually would think you're unqualified to do, which might lead you into throwing seeds onto the ground type of shit and not actually planting it the way that you efficiently and effectively want to plant it. Which this is nuance, this is semantics. It might mean something different than you to you than I do just in this very current moment. But I was saying it like in my perspective of taking the time to realize why my roles need to be a certain way and actually taking the time to build that idea and build a connection to the space that requires that character to come out. That way I allow it to add to my mindset and refresh myself as to when I need to be in this character hat versus this character hat. But I get what you mean. You're saying it more so in the sense of, bro, just do something and it's going to grow, which I agree with that too. I really agree with that too. But that's why I'm more so saying like when you start to plant, you start to see what grows. I mean, really, I just said the you gave us like the thumbnail of what you said with throwing the seeds on the ground. I pressed play on the video type of shit. You get what I mean? Like it was the
Yeah.
same shit, same shit. My bad,
No, you all
my
good.
bad for making it sound condescending towards your point, but we saying the same shit.
That's all good because that's like the you was talking about like the inner workings it took to like do that shit, so to say.
Hmm. Hmm. Versus if you just leave it at the surface, like yeah, if you just do anything, it'll grow. But that's not necessarily the point. You do want to take the time to realize that you've already planted seeds before. I'm not new to this, and actually apply yourself to the best format that you currently know, and stop half-assing shit. Show up to the full margin of applying your full brain to something because you know that this is my best now, and don't come up with no defeated ass energy or reasons as to why I should hide my hand and yada 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 because that's what you're doing.
Yeah, you said some shit in I think it was in your Capricorn moon live stream where you was talking about just
Yeah.
acing shit right in front of you. I think that's a helpful type of thing to have on the mind, like for people.
You said doing what's right in front of you.
You said ace whatever's right in front of you and like
Oh yeah, yeah, real shit. That's what I mean. Like no half-ass energy. Yeah,
yeah,
real shit. Because my job is to be TonOfVision, aka allow you to understand how to be connected to the very, 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 very best piece of you in each situation. You may not be better than other people in that situation, but just the very best version of you at all times. And that's by you understanding what is your true narrative and the true pinnacle perspective that is able to see the full bird's eye view, 360 view, and light it up too, aka be the phoenix, be the sun. Don't be the eagle, having to swoop between valleys and have to sit on perches and whatnot. Um, and that's what that kind of gets towards is focusing on the things that are immediately in front of you and allowing yourself to apply yourself best to it because that's the way that you get the best information out of what you're doing. If you allow yourself to actually show up and show out, you realize like, you know what, bro, doing all that shit for $2,000 was not worth it. Now imagine this. Imagine there's a whole scheme. And instead of you understanding how to make that $2,000, you let someone else manage it for you and you just say, I trust you, bro. Now, if you only need that $2,000 and you understand the fallacies of what you've just committed, which is putting your bet on another person, which you can never guarantee, or another system outside of yourself, which you can never guarantee, then you understand what dice you're rolling. You can land that accordingly. But if you take the time, the alternative route, and you see through it the entire way to get that $2,000, you'll understand all the intrinsic details that make that a good investment, a bad investment, a safe investment, a risky investment, all the type of things, right? And that's just to put it in a format of money, trading time for money. But that's like a format, a way that you should be looking at everything based on giving it your 100% because then it makes you absorb 100% of the contact, 100% of the information, you know,
yeah. I feel
not
like
trying to hide it. You were about to say?
that kind of thinking of like being able to like be like fully in something like that
Mm.
it's like prevalent with like the Moon Pluto conjunction, trying to the Gemini energies in terms of like surveying what you got within you and seeing like how far like you could go with like uh I don't want to say like with it, but like how far you could like damn, I'm kind of losing the thought, but like see yourself going like what I keep coming back to that same point of like holding that
I
shit
get you. I get
and
you.
keep going.
You're talking about Aquarius, which is naturally going to be talking about Leo energy too. So I think you're talking about how far you can go within that space, within that state of mind that you're currently in, and like activate that character based on the shit that you're building your mental space around.
Right.
I don't know if I'm right or not with what you're
That's
saying on
like
this
that's like basically what I'm trying to say. Cause
type
like
of shit. Well,
so,
when you talk about Aquarius and Leo energies, you're usually talking about each other at the same time.
yeah, cause
Like,
it's
you
like
think about it, when you start talking about Leo, like, oh look, this dude just think he's this and that. Who are you talking to? Who are you narrating to? The fucking audience, the Aquarius energy.
yeah, cause I like the fact you brought in like audience and shit and like cause it's like testing your storylines basically right now. Like
Type of shit. That's why I said too in my reading today. I talked about alternative storylines coming in and being like, what about me?
bro, I don't want to say that. I was about to say some shit like I don't know if it's flunky or not, but like once you like start like ditching a line of thought and like you don't think that way no more and like you encounter
Yeah,
like a stimuli that would trigger that thought to come around and like you
yeah.
kind of peep that and you're like, oh, that thought didn't come around. And then like uh you just kind of like be wait. I don't want to say you, but like I would just be like kind of waiting on it and like waiting for it to come around. But that shit is still like being within that shit and
Oh,
like
because you have the wrong idea how light works at that time. So when you're in a space like that, you still think that we follow lights. So if an event happens, you have to follow up with it. So you waiting for it to come around is you subscribing to a doomsday mentality. You feel me? Like
Mhm.
like eventually the sun's gonna blow up. Like that's you subconsciously accepting the tarot that that shit will always be around you.
Oh shit.
Which technically, if you want to get real prison talk in 3D being a prison, then you could say that it will always be around you. But I'd argue that you could go to the middle of nowhere and see a lot of things disappear. But especially on the spiritual point, you might still interact with something that maintains that character. But if you're able to say no to those pathways internally, you'll ooze the substance, the subconscious stance that you take towards that specific energy stance, that that person will get the KPI to not even fuck with you that way or to not even propose that energy towards you that way. And if they do, that's an example for your Martian energy because you gave them your values. Well, why are you trying to rape my women now? Now you put me in a position to have to be wow, right? You get what I mean? Like you're trying to make me feel something. I told you how I feel. This is a boundary. This is a threshold. Don't cross this. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And your energy will say that based on how true you really feel that way. Like real shit. And then, of
Yeah.
course you'll still identify as like a light sometimes. So you'll attract moths claiming to be butterflies, but that's just a part of the game. That's where you make your money at. I hate to say it, but that's where you make money at. And I would really recommend you looking into applying some Jupiter when you're fucking with Saturn square like that. Otherwise, you're gonna be looked at the way that we look at the people running the world now, as far as the lack of remorse for the what they call lower life forms, based on their own magic squares and what they feel they see in front of them, aka parts of the world that they justified bombing, and parts of desires that they justify giving more importance to and not, and giving that importance so much significance that it justifies death to people that have nothing to do with the actual shit going on. They just live in the witchcraft magic square and have summoned their spirits based on the turmoil that's going. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. So you always want to have Jupiter when you're expressing some type of magic or a Saturn square, or just be prepared to have an enemy for until you figure out how to not have an enemy. Like, which if you figured out how to not have an enemy, that's you having Jupiter. So you probably wouldn't need to make an enemy in the fucking first place. You get what I mean? Like it's imperative. You want to stand upright. You don't want to be leaning to one side or not.
Yeah, yeah, that shit was deep.
Real shit. We also get into altars. To be honest, I think I like using air seasons to be by myself because like it's implied you interact with people. Like I'm gonna see people. You know, unless I got it like that where I can stay in my house, then maybe I would change the words I'm using. But I go outside, I see people already just in what I do with myself. So because of that, I try to minimize my investment into other people because you can really map your fucking mind at a time like this. And then when you see other people in the space that your mind maps take you, and so like I said, I still go outside, I still interact with people somewhere. Those are the people that you don't even see them as like the word people. You see them as like a person, like the actual um character within your story because you guys are there on similar values. You're touching the same stage. You know what I mean? So more meaningful connections will be established that way. That's just me with air signs. That's I'm a fire trine though with Pluto. So I kind of it's either that or I tell everyone what the fuck I got going on. So I'd rather just spend my time figuring out creative ways to tell people what I got going on as a fire trine, which we all got fire energy and whatnot, but that's just my bias to that information. That might not work for you. It's for you to understand the angle of why that would apply and why that would work. And then you decide if that's what you want to do. You know, like what I mean is I've only kicked it with people during this Gemini season. I've only kicked it with people that I make music with and music videos with or do astrology with. That's where my mind chatter wants to be. All the other indulgent shit and stuff like that, bro. I got a family at home. I got stuff to do at home. I got a dog. I got my own. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
a time to explore yourself. It's an individual planet. Aries or sign. Aries through I believe Cancer are individual planets. It's Leo that starts getting expressive and seal things to the outside.
right. Yeah, I like how you said it's like mind mapping type of thing.
Real shit. Oh, especially right now. But this is a whole programming. We're choosing what chips to keep in our brain and what to discard. And then we're having to sit through the uninstallation of the previous one that looks like you declining a specific neural pathway or a few specific neural pathways that lead you back to the same circumstances or same doors. Sodom and Gomorrah witchcraft. Did you really absorb what you felt this winter, or are you lying to yourself? Do you remember how much you wanted that dream? Do you remember how stupid you felt doing that thing? You remember all the yada yada yada? That's what Gemini is. You remember that? You remember this? You remember that? And now it's like asking you to have some type of tangible proof or receipts that that's what you care about. And shit, even if you flunked out Aries and Taurus, even if you flunked those seasons, be delusional. There's a square between Pisces and Gemini in the first place. But there's also a lot of Aquarius energies. You're delusional. No one else is, motherfucker. So don't expect other people to feed into it. But act delusional within yourself. Act like you have that thing that you want, and that's how you'll catch up. That's how you'll build your shit that you should have been already building. But just don't expect people to do it for you. You fucked up the South Node trine that Gemini needs,
Hell yeah.
you know. But that's if you did that, you know. Hopefully you're catching shifts, but shit, I be walking the line, I be walking the ledge.
Mm.
It's sad, bro. It's the Sag and Gemini's, bro. You'll catch us sitting in crazy places, bro.
Mm.
Real shit.
No,
Like
I
on
think
random perches. Geminis be under shit. Sagittarius be trying to be over shit. Like a Gemini be in like a small spot first, just try to fit in like a small compartment or whatnot. The Sagittarius only try to go in that small compartment if it look like there might be some shit on the other side. Gemini just trying to figure out how that shit work in the first place. Like, sorry, you're about to say.
nah, I was about to nah, because they're both like stimuli energy. Like they're both like need something could kind of like bounce off of, so to say. But yeah, I was gonna say that uh the mind mapping and choosing what storyline you want to hold up within yourself and carrying that out within the world is like
Mm,
two themes as I would think is very prevalent in this Gemini season. With Pluto being Aquarius too, adding to that storyline effect of like what
real
you're
shit.
able to like hone in on in terms of like your your the furnace of your mind and like what you
Real shit. What you allow to put you to the fire. And I,
yeah
I, I really relate to that statement, to be honest with you, because I'm in a situation where I missed a few shifts, to be honest, and they were big shifts. So there's shifts that are gonna take some like real energy work and real application to get me out of. But if I were to be insecure and not take those shifts and not take those routes, then I would miss out on the actual substance that I was supposed to get the first time because I would make it about the physical again, which is why you ever miss the point. So I'm having to just have faith and imagination and belief in the character and also have a sense of forgiveness because it's still vested Cancer. There's a position opposing that you were trying to uphold and the status that you're trying to uphold, a belief about how things work. Therefore, I must do this. That's now being shed. So it's your ability to forgive yourself, have a little bit of mercy on that, but act like you fucking mean it. You feel me? For whatever it is. Sometimes if you're really aligned with good energies in this specific part of the cycles and whatnot, this could look like you already doing the things that matter to you, and now you're finally seeing think people that it might not be a large number of people or quantity of people, but it'll be people that actually fucking matter to you. You'd be like, yeah, they get it, man. They fucking see me, they hear me, they get it. You know what I mean? So it could
yeah
be one of those energies as well. And who's to say you can't experience it all? We're TonOfVision. We're looking at shit. We're looking at shit. You know? But hell yeah, bro. We got how much more time are we doing this for? Is this about it?
yeah I was gonna I had that mind mapping and that storyline shit that was gonna what I was gonna close with
Hell
the
yeah, let's get it.
I was like the points because I started paying for Zoom so we go like for however long I don't even know how long we've
Oh,
been going.
bet. Yeah, bet.
I'm sure it's over 30 minutes or 40 minutes whatever it was
I
but
bet you it's at like an hour and 20 minutes. I ain't gonna lie to you.
yeah something like that but yeah we're gonna go ahead and stop it right here guys and if you like this video you can follow me on Instagram and Zay's links will be in the bio as well
Appreciate it.
description and yeah we're
Yeah.
gonna leave it here thank you for watching
Yes, sir. Peace.